Man, welcome back. Welcome back to Mr. Mental Health, my channel. It's been a tough few weeks for me. That's why I ain't been able to post. So I apologize for not being able to post. Been busy, work. You know what I mean? Got a lot on my plate right now, so I'm finding a little time to sneak and kind of do a video. Hope everybody doing well. Weather-wise, mental health-wise, I hope everybody is kind of, you know what I mean, in a good place. You know what I mean? A little bit of everybody receiving some of their financial relief. People starting to travel. People starting to, get back on planes and, get out and about. So I hope that's kind of been some of y'all advice. You know what I mean? And kind of to move around and get back to a little bit of normalcy. But today's topic is a little interesting. It was kind of sparked by, so I do mental health Q&As at Alabama A&M on Mondays with the college students. And, it started off with like 6 students. Ended up with, sometimes we think our highest was like 35. And this last topic was a kind of going home topic. And the topic was the anxiety of going home. Yeah, I'm good, man. The anxiety of going home. And the interesting about it is that none of them want to go home. They adjusted to this college life, and now they like being on their own and moving about and not having to hear us, parents, tell them what to do, wash dishes, take trash out, clean their room. So now they got to go back home to that. So one of the questions was brought up was, why don't you really, want to go home? And a lot of them were saying that they parents are toxic. You know what I mean? So I asked them to kind of go in detail. What do you mean by toxic? And the young lady was like, well, when I go home, I'm considered like the babysitter. Like I got younger siblings. She was like, my mom got kids. Like she ain't even consider them like siblings. That's how triggered she is by this. But she like, I always have to watch them. I can't really hang out with my friends. My mom, it's like a break for her mom, but she like, it's unfair to her because them ain't her kids. Like she like, I don't mind watching them here and there, but like for that to be like my sole sometimes responsibility, it's unfair to me, and I had another girl was saying that, her and her mom argue about curfews and, if she could have company and, So what brought me to this topic is what toxic traits do we possess as parents that we force on our kids? And I got to kind of looking up some stuff and, looking over like, man, so what is it that makes us toxic? And for our kids. And what I read was one of them was so key. I hear a lot of people say their kids, and another young lady brought this up that she like, my mom considered me like her best friend, and she was like, man, when I got to school, I'm like, man, you ain't my best friend. You know what I mean? Like I need to have somebody my age or someone in their essence as a best friend. And she like, her mom kind of went through like kind of like some separation anxiety where she cried and didn't want her to go, et cetera, et cetera. But she was like, I think that started back when, 8th grade to, 9th, 10th, and so forth. But she was like, I don't want to be considered, I want to consider I love her and she's my mom, but like best friend. But she said, and some other kids said that too. Like they mom was like, I'm best friend. They was like, no, because how can somebody of my age be a best friend to somebody your age? You know what I mean? And she was like, I feel like I need to have my own friends just like you need to have your own friends. And that stood out. She was like, so she asked the question, like, what do I need to do, to get my mom to understand that I want friends and, and I don't want her to be my best friend, but I still want us to communicate and talk. And I was like, you just need to have a talk with her, not the yelling match, but a conversation about how you feel. Like, I'm like, how you sit in this circle is the same way you should be able to present some of your concerns to your mom, and she was like, well, I'll try, but she's like, every time I talk to my mom, it's just blah, 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 blah. She's like, I had to threaten to like move out and never come back home for us to have like the relationship we have now. So I was like, so what are some topics? I looked up like, what are some topics that make us parents toxic? And one of them's like, we overreact. Do parents overreact to everything? Like your kid was out smoking weed and you found out for the first time, did you go crazy and overreact like you never smoked weed, or did you talk to them about the importance of riding around with it? Or if you get too intoxicated, I can come pick you up. Or was it like threats? If you do this, you can't stay here. You know what I mean? Like are we overreacting as parents? They compare. Do you compare your oldest son to your youngest son? Or do you say, man, you just like your daddy? Or you just like, you know what I mean? Or you just like your mama? Are you comparing them versus allowing them to have their own individuality? And I think we as parents have done it, have compared. You play the victim, you know what I mean? Are parents still acting like victims? Are you still, making yourself like you want to be the one that's the victim in the situation, or are you just allowing the situation to play out and you taking responsibility and accountability for something that you did wrong to your kid? You know what I mean? And then are you always right as a parent? You know what I mean? Like, so that probably could fall on the line with me. Like sometimes I'll be like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Now I look it up and be like, oh, you do. So, but if you're always right, do you have that level of a responsibility or commitment to yourself to go back and apologize to your kid about you was wrong? You know what I mean? You wasn't right. Are you going back and apologizing, or you just let the things be? And then you'll be like, man, you always right anyway. I can't say nothing to you no matter what I say, you're going to be right anyway. So that's just understanding, where you at from that perspective. And then are you giving ultimatums like you're going to do this or else? You know what I mean? It's kind of like a threat, but ultimatums, this is how it's going to go or else, and I think when you become a parent, you do possess the power that under your roof, this is how things are going to go. But are you allowing your kids to like make mistakes and then, present them with, X, Y, and Z, so y'all can kind of come to some common ground about it? Or is it just going to always be your way? You're going to get an ultimatum. That's how it is. And, I think that's some things that we all have to take into consideration. And then the conversation are always about them. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And when I think that means just, everything is you, meaning you the parent, like blah, 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 is you, but you're not allowing, basically you're talking to them about whatever, and then you don't allow them to talk. Like it's not a conversation. It's about you. You know what I mean? So are you making everything about you versus it being about what happened? How can we come to a solution? And then what we gonna do moving forward? Or that's what it is. And then are we allowing them to talk? Are you allowing your kids to talk when something is going wrong? Do they have a say? Do they have a voice? Or is it just, this is what I say is gonna be, I don't care what you say, this is what it is. You don't know what you want right now. You don't know, I know what's best for you, blah, blah, blah. And we can get caught in the heat of the moment because you are a parent, and then, we've been through so much as parents. You naturally trying to protect your kid, but are you protecting them to the point where they can come talk to you about anything? Because, and sometimes you may not, like, some parents will never have a relationship with their kids just because of however the conversation went before or something they said, or if they feel like they can trust you. But are you doing anything to kind of gain some kind of understanding of who your kid is versus the list of stuff I just said? You know what I mean? And then not taking your issues out on them. Like, your issue should be your issue as a parent versus your issue. It is what it is, but you're taking it out on your kid because, you don't know how to deal with it. So you take it out on them. So I think we have to find solutions on how to deal with our own personal issues and not making it about our kids to the point where it's affecting them from their daily operation of living. And I think, to me, I just think the best friend thing is a little, I won't say overboard, but I think to me it's a little bit too much pressure to put on yourself and on the kid. And I think a lot of times when you're as a single moms, I think you spend your time trying to make sure your kid doesn't have to live the lifestyle that you live. So you invest so much in the child to the point where you forget about investing in yourself or spending time with yourself. You know what I mean? You may not trust babysitters, or may not trust a trusted family member. You may just go home, work, your kid, but that's not healthy. You know what I mean? It's not healthy for you to just put all this pressure and all this time. And then, yeah, you want to develop them, you know what I mean? But at some point, like when they get 18, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Because they want to get out here and experience the real world. They want to experience life. And if you're putting all this pressure on them that you done built up because you didn't take the time to have some type of, you know what I mean, relationship outside of your kid, then it's kind of like y'all both, you setting them up for failure. And then down the line, you're going to feel like, well, I did all this to raise you, and then you're not doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So I think that's a whole nother separate topic to discuss down the line. And then I think I said this, I don't know if I said this, but allowing them to make mistakes. You know, life is the greatest teacher every time. You know, it don't matter what you say. You know, I think the dumbest thing that we could ever said as a kid is that I can't wait to be grown. I can't wait to get older. No, the hell I want, like I said before, I want to go back in a child's place, because the level of responsibility that you have as a parent that a kid don't even have any clue about. You know what I mean? Some parents start their kids earlier as far as responsibilities, but it's so much like from the daily operation of living. When you walk out your house, the pressure to come back home, you know what I mean, stopped by the police, bills being paid, financial trouble, personal trouble, health troubles. You know what I mean? It's so much stuff that we're faced with that, you know, when you're a kid, you know, you like, man, I don't care about none of that. You don't care about life insurance policies at 18, 19. You know, you trying to have fun. You just trying to do what you want to do. And I think we just got to allow them to make mistakes so they can understand where we're coming from. Like I said, I would love to sit down sometimes, like if I had the luxury to sit down, I know God rest his soul, but to talk to my dad about a whole bunch of stuff that I was like, man, I don't want to hear that I need that. I needed that information at the time, and I'm glad he gave it to me as well. But we got to allow them to make mistakes. Like, nobody can grow from making mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, then you don't have an opportunity to correct the last mistake you made. And then sometimes we gotta cut out the bad parent thing. Like, what makes a bad parent? And I think oftentimes, you know, we can get caught up having bad parent moments. You know, and I think the bad parent moment just come from, you know what I mean, whatever we have within. And I think bad parenting can stem from loss of death, or I think you had to choose a different path. You had to choose a different path than what you originally wanted to. You had to choose a different path than you originally wanted to, and you have some resentment about that. Like, you probably wanted to be an engineer, but at the time you couldn't go to school, so you end up being a school teacher. You know what I mean? So you got some resentment there, but it ends up making you down the line to some degree, because you taking some of this frustration out, because you put your life on hold, what you were supposed to do as a responsible parent for your child. But now you're trying to go back and get that, but you're not there where you want to be. And I think that can lead to bad, you know, parent decisions, or how you communicate with your kids, or how you treat your kids, or you treat this kid better than the other kid, or you know what I mean? Because now you're in a better place to have another kid, but you don't treat this kid like you treat the oldest kid, so to speak. But I think some things that we could work on parental wise is, one, give yourself time to mourn about like life, because death takes a toll on all of us. And I think that could interfere with how you parent as well. You know what I mean? Death. Working on your own self-esteem, like self-care, self-worth. Like, what is your own value? Do you know your own value? Not just to anybody else, man or woman, but do you know what your value is to yourself? And then just working on your own self-esteem. Like, you know what I mean? You have to build yourself up. You have to maintain your own identity, like who you are, what makes you laugh, what makes you smile, what makes you, you know what I mean? You have to understand, you got to get to learn and know yourself. And just get what you need, like, not from your kids, but get what you need from your friends, or counseling, or yourself. You know what I mean? Just get what you need. If you need to take hikes or walks during the week, or you need to laugh, you know what I mean? You got to figure out what that is. And And that's pretty much, you know what I mean? I ain't got enough time. I want to go. This video could go for on, but could go a little while longer. But I'm gonna kind of end it. But I just wanted to kind of touch on, you know, the toxic parent thing. And I think at some point, you know, we all have some kind of trait that we've made our kids suffer from, you know. And I think it's unfair to the kid. But I think we need to recognize it, especially if you have older kids. You know what I mean? One, you need to talk to your kids. Two, you need to continue to have an open line, some kind of open line of communication with your kids, because at any moment, you know what I mean, you don't know what they're dealing with. Like, kids are from suicide, you know what I mean, to depression. The pandemic has caused a lot of this, but also it's caused a lot on us as well. But we're so worried about ourselves. Are we spending that time with our kids? You know what I mean? So I think we've all made mistakes as parents, you know. And I am going to make a video down the line about the relationship with our own parents, you know what I mean? Because our parents were just like us. They were young and they were learning Johnny on the spot. So all decisions you make may not be the right decision. It may be the right decision what you thought at the time, but it may not be the right decision, you know what I mean, what was best for the entire situation. And I think sometimes not sometimes, as a parent, as a man, as a female, as somebody who's responsible, or, you know, whatever the case, are you going to make mistakes as a parent? The question is, how are you doing to fix it? And what are you doing to help your kids succeed in life? So, like I said, I apologize for the last week or so for not being able to put out any videos, but I'm back. So I'll put out one a day and then I'll get back on regular schedule. So I hope everybody have a good weekend. Yeah, thank you for checking my video. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you.